Hello there, Bethel Park. It's me, Amy Taylor, with a very special edition of Healthy, Fit, and Strong. We're here today with Miss Jen Carlson. Jen is the mom of 2 teens with autism, one of which with a life-threatening food allergy as well as epilepsy, and we're going to talk to her about how it is that she deals and copes with her situation. Good morning and welcome.
Hi, so
Hi.
nice to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Can you tell me about how your life is?
My life is busy. How's
Busy.
that? Very busy.
Is it an easy life?
No, but I find it's hard to compare. You really can't compare what I deal with as with somebody else. Do you know what I mean? I mean, we all have stuff that we deal with, and what I deal with is just a little bit different than somebody else.
As far as the autism goes, how do you cope and deal with the autism of 2 teenage teens?
Well, there's definitely, you've probably heard it called a spectrum.
Yes. What does that mean?
That means there's such a wide array of what an autistic person would present like, because, you see there's nonverbal autism, and then there's people that are very verbal, but might be on the autism spectrum, but be labeled as like Asperger's.
And your teens are?
Well, in the very beginning, my daughter, she would do a lot of what we'd call echolalia. She couldn't really speak. We couldn't carry on a conversation like this. She would mimic. She would repeat things that we said. She could not maintain eye contact at all. She was always looking around.
How long did that?
Well, that was about, I think, till she was like 4.
Okay.
But see, she's really changed so much since then. I mean, people don't really realize.
No, I wouldn't realize. No.
She's come
Was
a
she
long
diagnosed
way.
early on?
I remember a pediatrician actually telling me, don't worry, she'll be fine. And I think a lot of us moms, we just know there's something wrong. And, so I kept bringing her, and, oh, it's fine. But it really wasn't fine. So we actually did not get a diagnosis for her until she was 7, and we moved here.
What?
Yep.
So 7 years went untreated, uncared for,
Well, kind of, sort of.
professionally.
Well, yeah, I would say that. But, as moms of special needs kids, we look for help. When we know there's something wrong, we really search out help, and that's really what I did.
How did you search out help in a small town where even the doctor wouldn't, diagnose her?
I talked to friends.
Okay.
I'd ask other parents. I'd ask them, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I was pointed in the direction of a county program where they had people who would come, I shouldn't say OT. I say OT, it's occupational therapy and physical therapists who would come to your home. It was through the school district, actually. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we started with her. And now, she's got all sorts of different learning challenges. She's dyslexic, she's dysgraphic, dyscalculia, so it's like
What is dyscalculia?
dyslexia of math.
So dyslexia of reading and dyslexia of math.
And dysgraphia, which would be the writing component of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
She's got a lot. She has come a long, long way.
Do you feel that those 3 symptoms are because she wasn't diagnosed right away, or she would have had them anyway?
She would have had them anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Her brain works differently. I mean, she's amazing, quite frankly. And, she's very eloquent with the things that she says. She's quiet. She's very quiet.
And
but
thoughtful.
Very thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much fun now to hang out with her, and I'm just so proud of her because, we had a reading specialist who told us she's never going to read and wanted us to get all sorts of things to assist her,
In Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Okay.
In Pittsburgh. But we didn't go that route.
Because you as a mom knew better? You just felt that she could do it? Or why?
I think a lot of us have a lot of hope. And we just hang on to that hope.
And you never stop trying.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I applaud you for that.
well, thank you. I think a lot of us do that, actually. But I was reading a book. I love this book. It's called The Gift of Dyslexia. And I was reading it and I thought, wow, this really sounds a lot like my daughter. And so, I kind of looked and I found a phone number, a random phone number in it, and I called, and lo and behold, there was a therapist that actually did this type of therapy here.
Wow.
I know. So called her up, and lo and behold, we started a program, and it was an intensive, and now she can read. She still gets, if she has to read aloud, she gets really nervous, and that's when the dyslexia, because it doesn't go away. It's just a way that she's learned to cope with it.
Right, a coping mechanism.
Yeah, so she gets nervous, and she might have issues with saying the wrong word or something like that, or not being able to pronounce something. But one of her most favorite things right now in her life is reading. She loves to read, and she's actually reading right now to my son Sam.
So what would you say to the moms out there that are facing dyslexia or autism? Not to give up.
Right. Don't ever
and
give
keep
up.
Trying.
And don't just
and
accept.
don't take the first doctor's word for it.
Absolutely.
Whereas a mom sometimes know better.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how is she in school? She goes to a public school?
No, we homeschool.
Would you suffice it to say that she's doing very well and flourishing, considering?
Considering all things, yes.
Yes.
I would. I mean, now it's a whole new ball game. We have to think of so many different things as we are moving her into adulthood. It's different.
How so? How so?
Oh goodness, just even like jobs, all the typical adulting things out there. There's just a lot more to it.
Does she have a job, or she's currently looking for a job?
Looking.
Okay.
And in fact, it was funny because we were just talking about it today. There are resources out there. There's one called OVR, and they help adults, because she's now officially an adult, oh goodness, find work and go through like job training and things like that. So that's our next step with her. But yeah, there's Sadie, and she is less what I would say on the spectrum, I don't know how to say it right now, than is my son Sam. He's got a lot more challenges.
And how old is Sam?
Sam's 16.
Wow.
I know, right?
Where did those years go?
I know.
Talk to us about Sam and how you discovered that he had a disability.
Well, it was hard because I started seeing very similar things early on.
Let's pause right there. How did your heart or your mind feel being a mom thinking, now I have 2 children? How did you take that?
Oh, I thought it was unfair. I'm a pastor's wife, and I was mad at God. I'm like, come on, really? Really? How can this be? I thought, no way. This has to be a mistake. And I was really, I was mad at God.
How did you cope with your feelings?
Oh, I cried. I cried a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. Prayed a lot. Talked to my husband a lot. And we prayed and we really worked together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be really hard if we weren't on the same page.
Yeah, right. And so he was diagnosed at what age?
Oh, 4.
Okay. And is
when
that
we got
usual?
here, no.
Oh, because of here.
Yes, it was once we moved here, we got the diagnoses and the official help.
Okay.
Sam, he was actually diagnosed with apraxia of speech.
And what does that mean?
It's kind of like, this is how I describe it. It's like having, a stroke victim who can understand, just can't get the words out.
Okay.
That's
Trouble
that's what it's
communicating?
like. Yeah.
Okay.
And he was
so
also
is that comprehending as well as speaking?
typically for apraxia of speech, no, but he's also on the autism spectrum.
Okay.
And so that was really difficult, because he couldn't quite, he couldn't get the words out, which would make it more frustrating to him. He spent a lot of time screaming.
I see.
Yeah.
Out of inner frustration.
Yeah.
Not able to, yeah, right.
Absolutely.
What other challenges does Sam face?
Sam, well, the apraxia, autism, life-threatening food allergies. And that was,
What kind of things is Sam allergic to?
Sam originally was allergic to soy, to wheat, gluten, and dairy, nuts, peanuts. Did I say eggs? He was allergic to a lot, life-threatening. So I remember the first time he anaphylaxed, I didn't know what was going on.
And anaphylaxis means throat closed up.
Throat's closing, it's your body is just going into overwhelm to deal with a food or anything else like a bee sting. It overreacts. How's that? And so he overreacted or anaphylaxed to milk. And it was a real harrowing ride to the hospital. And so for him, what an anaphylaxis looks like is his throat's closing. He'll get some hives around his mouth. He flushes. His heart could stop. It's really scary, and he's also touch sensitive, so it doesn't just have to be ingested. He just touches something, and we've been in the hospital for that. Like if somebody was eating, this happened on the playground. Somebody was eating like Cheez-Its, and then they were on playground equipment, and then we, went, and he was on the playground and went into full anaphylaxis just from touching the same playground equipment. And so, we are always watching, and it gets tough. But we've done some different things with him, and right now we're down to milk being life-threatening, as well as some tree nuts and peanut.
Is the nut allergy airborne? Some people I know can't be in the same room as a nut because the fragrance or the aroma or the oil of the nut. Is that the case?
He used to be that way with peanut, and now he is able to be in the same room where there's a peanut.
Just not touch.
Yeah, we can't touch it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So it was a process of elimination, or did you go to the doctors and they did the scratch test and said, oh, you can't have these things?
They did blood work because he's so severe that they wanted to test it through blood because they didn't want to risk him having an anaphylactic reaction.
Is any of this hereditary or caused by genes, or it's just random?
It is so hard because so much of this, we're like, what did we do? I think many
sometimes
parents,
two people, if they have a similar gene or something,
Right.
and then they get together, then that causes, because you have two children with it. So I'm
Exactly.
just asking, is there something hereditary or in the genes?
No, and we
Okay.
did the genetic tests. So, we did the testing for Sadie and for Sam, and then my husband and I also, and no.
So it would just be suffice to say that God knows that you can handle two children.
I've heard God doesn't give you more than you can handle, that idea. I think He does. And then we rely on Him. Because there's some days it's hard, special needs folks out there, it's hard. It's really hard. But there are so many blessings in it, too. There really, really are.
Because they're literally the sweetest kids ever. Like,
yes.
pure
yes.
and sweet, and just squish their little cheeks, just love them.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
No.
Yeah, that's all I see is just
That's all
sweet
you
kids.
see. That's all you see. I should say this too, because Sam, he really works hard to keep it together. So
Yes.
like we're at church, and there's a lot of sensory. There's a lot going on, and so he works really hard, at being calm and the person that you see. But on the way home, he can be grouchy and irritable, and the sound is too loud or whatnot. And it's
But he voices it to you. He's able to communicate it to you, too loud or whatnot.
oh yeah,
And so that's a blessing.
yeah.
Do you use
Oh.
the ear
Yeah,
That helps.
yeah, he has sound muffling earphones, and that helps him a lot.
Right.
Because it doesn't take much. Just even if I were to do that, it just drives him up the wall. It really does. But backing up, I said he had apraxia of speech. That's where you cannot speak at all. He had no words, none, and he was frustrated. I said he would scream. It was really hard. It was 45 minutes at a time screaming sometimes. And we did a lot of therapy with him at Sadie too. But for him, now you know him. He talks nonstop. Sometimes we're playing the quiet game. So everybody out there with a child who's got apraxia of speech, just hang in there, hang in there.
Do you ever eat in a restaurant?
No.
Okay. So you just can't venture out for food.
Oh my goodness.
It's
no,
too
it
much.
is really hard.
Okay. So too much for you as a mom to have to worry that you just make the food at home, and it is what it is.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Are there any prepared foods out there that you think, well, if the ingredients are listed on the side, so therefore it's safe, or do you just not trust?
Yeah, there are some things that we'll get, but it has to be really stringent for contaminants and such. And it's hard because you always have to check. We are constantly checking, did the ingredients change? Because there'll be reformulations and we don't even know it. So it's always checking. And even at restaurants, there's, I won't say what it was, but there was a place that we would like to go. It was fine, it was fine, it was fine. And then it wasn't fine, and he went into full anaphylactic shock, ambulance ride to the hospital. And you just don't know for sure. So we carry all of our
Show us what you
our
carry.
stuff. These are just trainers because I had to leave everything at home. EpiPens. So
You carry those with you everywhere.
everywhere.
How many you carry at a time?
I've got 2 EpiPens and 2 Auvi-Qs.
Okay, and what's an Auvi-Q?
They're both deliver the same med, but this, you have to administer yourself, and it goes in the outside of the thigh. In the event of an anaphylactic reaction.
I see that in movies for bee stings, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
This would be the same thing. However, this is really cool because it talks.
Tell me how it works.
You pull this off, and I like this for when, say, somebody's watching our kids, because people have made mistakes with this, and they've actually injected themselves. I've heard of that. But this, it tells you what to do. Shall I pull it?
Yes, sure. Show the camera.
This trainer contains no needle or drug and is for training purposes only. Do not use this trainer
It does
during an
that.
allergic emergency.
But it's going to talk to you like that.
That is the coolest thing.
Isn't that
You
cool?
are ready to use. Pull red safety guard down and off of this trainer. Place black end against outer thigh. Then push firmly until you
Pretend
hear
this is my
click
thigh.
and hiss sound, and hold in place for 2, 1. Training complete.
So you would not do that in your arm. It would be in the
This
outer
trainer
thigh.
may be
Very
reused
cool.
Isn't that
for
cool?
training purposes. Replace the red safety
And
guard
then what is the other
gray
thing that
outer
you brought with
case.
you?
Now that's for something else that entered our life. One thing we did not know, and I want people to know this. If your child is on the autism spectrum, you have a much greater probability of developing epilepsy, seizures. We had no clue. We did not.
I did not know this.
We did not. Neither did we. Nobody said anything, And one morning he had a grand mal seizure. We were just having coffee together, and he was coloring in the other room, and he had a full grand mal seizure.
What is a grand mal seizure?
Well, he was on the floor. Everybody's a little bit different, but completely loses consciousness. His brain is just basically on fire. It's all the little nerves are just firing like crazy, and he's throwing up and turning blue, all the things, shaking. But there are different types of seizures. But that's what we encountered, and we had thought, oh my goodness, he had something to eat and he's in anaphylactic shock. by the time we got to him, because we didn't know what was going on, we just heard, some sounds, that he was making, kind of like gagging sounds, and we're like, "What? Oh!" And we went in there to find him in that state, and so we didn't know what we were doing, so we gave him, an EpiPen, and while calling 911, and as time went on, we found no, he had seizures. He had had a seizure, and he was, now epileptic, and that was
How common is
another
that for
thing.
epilepsy to run like that with
Yeah.
autistic children?
I believe it's about 25%.
That's high.
That's really high, and I was so
So
shocked.
the doctors never said, "Hey, you might not want to be aware of this."
No,
No. Okay.
they didn't. I mean, nothing to live in fear of, just to be aware.
Right.
Aware
Right.
of it. And so now we have even more rescue meds. So this is in the event of a seizure that doesn't stop, when it goes beyond 5 minutes. And it used
to just scary.
5 minutes is scary. And this one, we have it drawn up like this. Originally, what we did was we'd have to, insert a needle into this little vial and pull it up,
Wasting
measure
precious
it.
time.
Yes, and now Sam, I mean, he's a big kid. He's larger, he's taller than I am, and trying to maneuver that while keeping him on his side, and it was too hard. So, if you don't know this, you can get these in pre-drawn vials, and all you do is you're going to pop the end off, and then there's a little atomizer that you screw on the end and put it into the nose, and a
Wow.
lot easier.
So does the hospital, Children's Hospital, know you guys? Like, do you have a fast pass, like a Disney fast pass, or like, oh, it's the Carlsons calling, put him through the back door, or he gets special VIP treatment? Like, is there anything like that?
There could be. They certainly know us. I mean, some of the residents remember him when we come in. He's pretty memorable.
Okay.
He's very chatty, and he enjoys people, which is interesting because he's on the autism spectrum. Early on, actually, when we were in a small town, we did take them for testing, and we were told, nope, they're not autistic because they're too social. But really, it's a matter of they struggle. They struggle with being social. Yeah, but
Would it be fair to say that grand mal seizure that you spoke of was the most frightening experience that you've had with him? There's more than that?
Yeah.
What would you say was the scariest thing that happened, if you can put it into words?
Oh, you're gonna make me cry. Probably all the times where he has almost died. I can't count them. There's been so many. Whether it be anaphylaxis or seizures.
How often would you say that happens?
We just never know. Don't you cry too? Then I'll cry too.
So you're in constant fear. Worry. What would be the right word? I don't want to put words into your mouth.
Concern.
Concern. And that's where your faith comes in?
Yeah, absolutely. I once had somebody ask me, how can you still have faith in God when you have to deal with all this? And I thought, how could I not?
Right.
There's
Right.
just-
You have to keep your faith to
Yeah.
get by,
Well, to get by
to
and
hold your head above water.
That, and I know he has a plan.
That's right.
He's got a plan in all of this. I even the times when it seems like we can't see it, we don't have to see it.
That's right. That's right.
I know through faith that he does have a plan.
Jen, what would you say is your wish for your children for the future?
I want them to be happy. I want them to feel fulfilled. Just same wishes that any other parent would have. Yeah, I want them to know that they matter. They make a difference in this world. when we go shopping, Sam loves grocery shopping. And it's funny because he's taller than I am. He's very chatty. He goes through a grocery store and he has conversations like crazy. I'll be shopping and he's always asking people, "Hi, how are you?" And he's like, "Are you having a good day? Are you enjoying your shopping trip?" You know, and some people, of course, are just like, "Whoa, what?" But so many people, they stop and they're like, "I'm having a good trip now." And they smile. And I remember one time he asked a woman who, you know, this is pandemic, and she was looking down, and he stopped her and he just said, "How are you?" And she looked up, she was so surprised, and she said, "I'm okay." And then as she walked by me, I heard her under her breath say, "Thank you for asking." And so he makes a huge impact on other people. You know, it's different than, you know, I guess what we would think, but he loves people, and he loves being silly. He and I even did a TikTok together. It was just silly, and I got my daughter to do one with me too.
I'll tell you what, if there's one thing that this segment has shown us, it's the hope for moms like you that struggle
Yes.
every day,
Yeah.
but also the love that you have for your children. I mean, you are literally beaming and radiating when you talk about your children.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome.
They
All
are
of
pretty
them.
awesome. Is there anything that you wish to leave the viewers at home with a message, encouragement for moms who are struggling or who are dealing with the children with special needs or might have children with the same circumstances?
I just want you to know that, you know, having a special needs kid it's hard. You know that. But there are so many blessings in it. So many blessings. I'm a different person. Then I know I'm a different person by having special needs kids than if I had not. I think I'm better.
I think the world is a better place because of people like you, your family, your kids, and I think you guys are amazing. I want to thank you for coming out, being as raw and vulnerable as you were with us today, because hopefully you're going to touch someone's life through your message, through your words. I hope that this segment gives other people hope and inspires you that you as a mom sometimes know best. And maybe the doctor doesn't have the last word. Maybe you can seek out other treatments, therapy to assist your children. This has been a very emotional segment of Healthy, Fit, and Strong, and I love the ones that cut it down to the bone and show the true raw emotion that moms like you go through. I thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you so much.
Amy Taylor, Healthy, Fit, and Strong, Bethel Park TV. Thank you and God bless.